Joining me right now is Jake Silverstein. He's the editor of Texas Monthly. Hey, Jay, welcome to Houston's Morning News. Great to have you.
Good to be here.
And Jay, I just want to say I enjoy reading your magazine, although I am a conservative guy. I'm a righty, and sometimes I read things in there that lead me to believe that Texas Monthly has kind of a liberal lean. Am I getting that message correctly, or is...
Well, I think that we look at everything, and, you know, most of our political coverage is handled by Paul Burka, who's been writing about Texas politics since the early 1970s, and certainly the state's politics have changed during that time quite a bit, and the politics of the country itself have changed during that time, and I think Paul's been pretty steadfast and generally pretty moderate, center-of-the-road kind of view during that whole time.
All right. I would respectfully disagree with you on that, but let's talk respectfully, always, Jay. But let's talk about the bum steer of the year, Governor Rick Perry. Did you take into consideration that Governor Perry has come out and said that, you know, because of the back surgery and the medication that he was taking, that it was difficult for him to focus, and that may have led to a lot of the gaffes and the fact that he misremembered a few things. Was any of that taken into consideration?
Well, I mean, we took a lot of things into consideration, and as I wrote in the sort of editor's note introducing this bum steer, we were reluctant to give it to the governor, and there had certainly been a series of gaffes and, you know, poor performances on whether it was in debates or on the campaign trail that you know that were contributing to a certain narrative in the media, which we were resisting until the 53 seconds, until the oops heard around the world, which from a bum steer standpoint, right? I mean, from a bum steer standpoint was kind of the gift from heaven.
Well, I understand, but my question was, do you now understand, and the governor has said that he was taking a lot of medication, he had a lot of pain in his back, and it may very well have been because of that medication. Are we making fun of someone that, you know, frankly was doing their best considering, you know, they had just gone through surgery?
I don't think the governor would want us to be, you know, judging him on giving him any pity or judging him any less harshly and strongly than we would judge anyone.
What about
the public eye?
What about your readers? Though I'm just curious what your readers might think. Me being
well, I would say that when we posted on Facebook the night before we put this cover, we released our cover. And on Twitter as well, that we were going to be announcing the bum steer of the year the following morning. We probably had 80 to 90% of the responses assumed that it would be the governor. Now, those readers I know are from all over the political aisle, and I know this because when we post things on there, there's usually a fair amount of disagreement and agreement on whatever it is from either side of the aisle. And you know, I mean, I think a lot of people just assumed because of these pretty significant gaffes that Rick Perry would win the bum steer of the year.
All right. Jay, would you hang on for a couple of minutes? I want to come back and I want to talk a little more politics with you. We'll get away from the bum steer a little bit, and we'll talk a little more going forward about Iowa, if that's okay.
All right.
All right, very good. Jake Silverstein, editor of Texas Monthly, joining us here this morning. KTRH News Time is 7:22. Jake Silverstein, who is the editor of Texas Monthly, joining us here this morning. Hey, Jake, I want to thank you for taking the time. I sure appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm just very honest about my impressions of the magazine, but may I just say that I enjoy Texas Monthly every month.
Well, of course you may. Thank you.
All right. Let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit going forward about Iowa. And I mean, I'm not asking you to necessarily pick a winner, but as you look at Governor Perry, as you look at Congressman Ron Paul, does the folks at Texas Monthly have any thoughts going forward?
Well, I think what's interesting is you threw Paul in there, right? Yeah. Which you probably wouldn't have maybe a month and a half ago. I mean, and yet today this new poll out shows that he's actually in the lead. He's at 23% to I think 20% for Romney, and now we're seeing what we probably expected, which is the gradual implosion of Gingrich's campaign, which has not surprised me. He's down to 14% in that new poll. Now Perry is still in single digits, so how Perry is going to crack that top three remains, I think, remains a bit of a climb for him, and that's the key. I think is the top three. You know, that in over the last 25 years, I think there's only been one candidate who has finished fourth in Iowa and gone on.
So do you feel, give me your thoughts on Congressman Paul. You said we wouldn't have been having this conversation a few months ago, and you may be correct. He certainly could win the Iowa caucuses. He's doing a lot on the ground and a lot in the air there in Iowa. What are your thoughts on Congressman Paul at Texas Monthly? I mean, you think that he's got a shot of being the nominee?
I don't. I think I'm probably share that with a lot of people that I don't think he's got a shot at being the nominee. But I think that he has a sturdy base of support that doesn't seem to go up a lot, but really doesn't seem to go down very much either. I think he's done so well. He's doing so well right now in Iowa because, among other things, he's really had a ground operation in place there since 2008, and those people are diehard, Ron Paul love revolution types, and they didn't turn to something else. They've continued to work for him and to campaign for what he believes in for these past 4 or 5 years. And you're seeing that right now. You're seeing his ability to tap that resource, that base of support, and that network. I think it's anybody would agree that this has been a strange nominating contest so far. There's been a lot of people flaring up into the spotlight, into the center stage, and then diminishing. And so in a dynamic field like that, there was always going to be an opportunity for a slow and steady guy like Ron Paul, and I think you're seeing that right now.
All right, Jake Silverstein, I appreciate your insight, my friend. I really do, and we'll talk again. Maybe I'll be up for Bum Steer of the Year next year. You never know.
I doubt it very much.
All right. Thank you, Jake. We appreciate it. The editor of Texas Monthly. Well, I don't know.
He just doesn't know you that well.
He doesn't, yeah. He hasn't heard enough about me yet, so I think my hat could very well be in the ring for that. Interesting. He didn't really back away from the fact that the magazine leaned a little bit left.
No.
He tried to push it off on somebody else.